This is Sandeep Nair, CEO of Metquay. Today, I'm going to take you through Metquay and do a few things. So I have the list of things to be done on the left-hand side, and I have Metquay open on the right-hand side. So let me quickly run you through the basic things that we are going to target today. We are going to create a new standard. Then we are going to create a customer account. Then we are going to create a device to be calibrated. And finally, we are going to generate a calibration certificate, and then we will modify the certificate to add add some additional details, right? So on every step, there will be a few more additional things that we need to do, or prerequisites we need to take care of. So we will talk about that in detail, right? So let's take the first step, which is creation of a new standard in the database. So for creating a new standard in the database, there are a few prerequisites. First is we need a configuration worksheet for that standard. So the configuration worksheet is going to replicate the certificate template of that instrument. So for example, the standard that we are going to create is a manometer. So we have the certificate right here, and the data in the certificate is going to be important for us to do the calibration. So we are going to create a similar format in the configuration. Then we will fill in the data so that we can use it in the calibration process. Also, we have to, once the configuration worksheet is created, we can add the standard, which is the physical equipment, with the serial number, certificate number, everything. And finally, link these two so that our standard creation is completed, right? So the first thing to do is configuration or worksheet. So let's go to the worksheet feature in Metquay, click on add, and let's create a new worksheet. So let's give the worksheet a name. So since it's a thermo anemomanometer, I'm going to use the same name, thermo anemomanometer, and I'm going to give the model name MP200. So it is okay if you don't give the model name, but it's best if you can give some identification, right? So give v1.0 to indicate is the version 1.0. Type is reference, because the equipment that we are going to the worksheet that we are going to create is going to be associated with a calibration standard. So let's choose reference in this case, and revision number is 0, and the variable name, so you can give any variable name, but since it's a thermo anemomanometer, so I'll give TM as my variable name, right? So now let's go ahead and add the sections. So there's going to be only one section because my calibration standards template is very simple. I just have the measurement results. And then also I would like to give the environmental conditions so that the environment conditions are not used in the calculations. However, I will just put that in here just for information, right? So let's go back to our worksheet and click on add. The first section is going to be my measurement results. So the layout that I'm going to use is form, because 99.99% of the cases form just works fine. And I will give my variable name as MR to indicate measurement results. And let's go ahead and add the form fields. The form fields that I'm going to add would be my ambient conditions and the number of cal points that I'm going to have in this worksheet. So the first thing I'm going to add is number of cal points. So number of cal points, and number of cal points, that's my variable name. And type is numeric because it's a numeric field. Then let's add the second field, which is the ambient temperature in degrees Celsius. So you can copy paste the degree Celsius symbol from anywhere on the web. It would work just fine. Ambient temperature, numeric field again. Let's add the third field, which is the relative humidity in percentage. So relative humidity, again a numeric field. And then let's add the atmospheric pressure, HPA, EP, again a numeric field. So again, even if you don't add these fields, it's totally fine. I'm just adding it for academic purpose, right? So since we have all the form fields added, let's get to the table fields. So table fields are the ones which we see on the certificate in the table format, like this: the N, VREF, unit, VI, unit, VI minus VREF, unit, and incertitude, which is our uncertainties, right? So let's go in there and add the form fields. Oh, sorry, the table fields. So the first table field that I'm going to add is my N degree. So let's add the N degree. And again, a numeric field. The second is my VREF. Again, a numeric field. And the third is a unit field, which is the unit for my VREF. So VREF unit, numeric field. Sorry, this is going to be a combo because it's a unit selection. So on the combo type, I'll choose pressure. Then I'll choose VI or add VI, which is the next field, which is a numeric field again. Then I need to add the VI unit. Sorry, unit and VI unit. Again, a combo type pressure. VI minus VRF. Again, a numeric field. Numeric. So here I could write an expression to subtract VI minus VRF. However, I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to copy the data from the calibration certificate into the worksheet. So I'm not writing the expression this time, VI minus VRF. And then I have the unit, which is again a combo field. Sorry, configure table fields. VI minus VREF unit, which is going to be a combo field. Combo type is again pressure. Click on add. And then I have the incertitude, which is my uncertainty. Definitely a numeric field. Yeah, I need to give a variable name here. Click on add. Then I have finally the resolution field. So the resolution field is not on the table in the certificate. However, I'm just adding it so that just in case if I'm going to use the resolution from that, I could use that. So I'm not going to use it, but I'm just giving it. So I'll be using a different lookup sheet for pulling in the resolution. So now I'm just adding it for learning purpose. So resolution, right? So I have all my fields added. Everything looks good. Now I can save this section and click on save the worksheet. Now let's preview it. I have all my fields here and vref unit, vi minus vref unit, incertitude and resolution, right? And one thing that is missing is the number of, the number of cal points. If I give 4, it's not generating the table. So I need to make a connection between number of cal points and the table so that I don't have to click add row all the time, right? So let's go to edit the sheet again, click on edit the section again, and go to number of cal points. Copy the number of cal points from the variable for number of cal points from the sheet and paste it in table row expression. So every section will have a table row expression, and it would be this expression which would drive the number of rows for this table. So let's save the section, update it, and preview it again. Now if I give 2 cal points, it will generate 2 cal points. If I give 3, it will generate 3. So my worksheet or the configuration sheet for the standard looks pretty neat. I have everything in place. I have the worksheet name. Type is reference. Remember again, this is a calibration standard, so you need to choose reference, right? So now the second step would be to add the calibration standard so that the physical standard is created and I could, link the worksheet with the standard, right? So for that, close this pop-up and go to manage master instrument under the asset management, right? Manage master instrument, click on add. I have the unique number already generated. So it's a system given unique number, but you can add your own serial number, tag number, etc. This is for internal reference. And the reference type is instrument because this is a calibration standard, a physical instrument that we are going to create, right? But there is another type of standard which is called a configuration. So we'll talk about configurations very soon. There could be lookup tables like resolutions or tolerances, which we may not look up, but not really tied to a physical equipment. Could be a physical make model, but there is no specific equipment associated with it. So let's leave configuration for that. For now, we use instrument because it's a physical instrument. And the instrument name, we'll just leave it as blank for the time being. And let's check for the instrument type. So instrument type can be created by clicking on the plus, click on the add, choose the category like thermomanometer, thermomanometer, give the make, model, range, etc. But we already have the thermomanometer Chemo MP200 created here. So I'm going to select that. So I selected the instrument type thermomanometer Chemo MP200. And the instrument name is automatically populated with the category name. So I'm going to replace it with the ETP049 name. So instrument name is ETP049, right? Then the serial number 49900.000. So for the serial number, I'm making a quick addition because I already have a serial number of this 449.00.000. So to make it unique, I'm going to give a serial number, different serial number. And the tag number, again, I'm going to use the same thing because I don't have the tag number. I can leave it blank. That is fine. Certificate number is going to be USM 2200278. Traceability, so when I look at my calibration standard certificate, on a quick look, I'm not able to find the traceability details. However, I can find that this is calibrated by the Sauerman group itself. So I will copy this Sauerman Industry as my certification agency. So I will copy certification agency here, and my calibration date, again from the certificate, I have 24th February 2022. So I will go ahead and add my calibrated date as 24th February 2022. And my recommended due date, I could put 1 year from now. So which is 23 February 24, 2023, right? Again, verification due date can be left blank, no problem. You can upload the calibration certificate. So I'm going to upload the PDF copy, which I downloaded from the email. So I have my calibration certificate uploaded. If I view the certificate, it shows up. Looks good. Now that it's time to link the configuration with the equipment. So here's the equipment, the configuration we already created. So let's search for the configuration. So manometer MP200 V1.0. That is the sheet that which we created recently. And department is pressure, which is the domain which is given here. So pressure. Now I have my blank worksheet associated with the calibration standard. However, I don't have any data. So the first thing to do would be to save it and then search for ETP 049. Yeah, ETP 049. And then I have two options. I can either manually input the data, which is tedious, or I can import the data as a worksheet template. So let me download the worksheet template for this. So let me download it. So let me open the sheet and show you how it looks. So let me move it to my current screen. So if you look at this sheet, it follows the exact same format as the worksheet that I created. So it has got all my fields which I created, N VRF unit, V minus VRF unit, incertitude, and resolution. So all I need to do is, if I can copy the data from the PDF into this, I can automatically import it. So what I have done is I have converted the data into a CSV file in advance so that I can import the data into this. So this is my data. So I'm going to copy this data, Control C, and I'm going to paste that into my template. So the number of cal points I'm going to give is 65 because I have 65 rows here. So I have 65 rows and I'm going to copy and paste my data here. The sheet here ends with 35. That's my file. So let me save it. And now let me go back to my sheet. Let's edit this. This is my calibration standard, ETP 049, tag number 4900.001. And let me import the sheet. It ends with 5. Click on open. Yeah. Now my data sheet is completely imported. All my data is imported perfectly, right? So if you have your data in a CSV format, it is very easy to import the data. Otherwise, copy the data from your PDF into a CSV file and then import it if it's a really big standard, right? So let's hit update. So before we hit update, we need to make this active because for this standard to be available for calibration, it's important to make it active. So if you created a standard and it is not available for calibration, always come back and check if it is active. It could be the reason why it's not available, right? So let's click on update. So search for my ETP 049. ETP 049, and I can see that, sorry, this is the ETP 049 that we're talking about with the tag number, and I have my data, everything set. So I have my certificate uploaded, so I'm all set with my calibration standard, right? So that completes the first step. Now let's move on to the second step, which is creating a customer account, right? So which is very easy. All you need to do is go to companies, click on add, and give the company or account name. So I'm going to give Sowerman as my company name. So to first create a company, you don't have to input all the details. You can just, if there is any information on this field, just clear it off before you hit save. Because this could, your browser cache could automatically populate some junk data into this. So give the company name and hit save. So now you have the company name. So I can see that there is another Sowerman S2 created here. So the one which I created here is S3 because it's a new customer. So let's edit this and give the address details. So scroll down, click on the address details tab, add a new row. So this is the first address line. And then I have my second address line. Then, so first address line is here, second address line is here. Then I have my third address line. Sorry. So the third address line here. So I'm assuming there's no zip code here. So I'm just assuming that this is a zip code. So I'll take the zip code from here and put it under the postal code. And for the country, I'll use France. I have not filled in the city, location, or state. That is fine. I can leave it blank, but I need to choose these. So I will choose this as primary, shipping, billing, and certificate address. All of these. So I can have different addresses for each of these, but I'll just make this everything. So click on update. Yeah. So always remember to clear this off before you do that. If your browser automatically fills in the information. So right now, I have the Sowerman group already created here, so it is throwing me an error. So let's cancel this and let's add um, a new customer, or try to edit this, see if it works, because I just changed the address details. So the first address line is this. Second address line. Third one. City, state, and location is fine. 24700 as my zip code, and my country as France, and then enter primary, shipping, billing, and certificate. Delete this, which is populated from cache, and click on update. So my company details are updated successfully. So always remember to clear this off if your browser automatically populates some details in here. That's the only thing that you need to take care of. So now I have my Sowerman company created. So that completes my second step. So the third step is to create a device to be calibrated with the brand details and the measuring range and everything. So in order for us to do this, first we need to create a calibration configuration, right? So that when we add this equipment, we can directly do the calibration. Always create the calibration configuration first so that we can add any type of equipment and get it calibrated, right? So let's skip to the third step, which is create a calibration configuration. So it's going to be a mix of step 3 and 2 because we will be taking the resolution and tolerance from step 2 here. So the first thing to do would be to go back to the worksheets. So this time, the last time when we added, it was a thermo anemometer reference type sheet. But this time, we'll be creating a worksheet for the Chemo CP212-BO, which is going to be a differential pressure transmitter. When I Google the type, it is a pressure transmitter, so I'm going to use the same type here. So I'm going to create a sheet for the device to be calibrated, right? So click on Add. So worksheet name, I'm going to give differential pressure transmitter. And the type is going to be instrument. So last time it was a reference because it was a calibration standard. This time it is an instrument because it is an instrument to be calibrated. Revision number 0, and I'm going to give the variable name as DPT 01 or DPT1 as my variable, right? So now we have to create the calibration certificate. So we don't have a reference template for the calibration certificate. So I'm going to go ahead and create a template on my own. But remember, you can always modify the template and create your own. You can modify it to suit your requirement, right? So on the first section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture the basic information for this calibration, including the number of cal points I'm going to do, the number of repeats I'm going to do, the calibration standard that I'm going to use, and also the tolerance lookup that I'm going to use, because my tolerance lookup is also important here. So for the tolerance lookup, I've already created the tolerance lookup. So I can show you the tolerance lookup while I'm doing the calibration template, right? So let's go ahead and create the number of cal points field first. So first let's add the section. So since it's a prerequisite, I'm going to call it parameters, right? And the format is again form. I don't want to show this section in the certificate because these are my prerequisites. So I'm just going to uncheck this and click on add. So before you do that, you need to give the variable. So pattern, yeah. And then click on the plus sign and add the form fields. The first form field that I'm going to add is cal points. So I'll give cal points as my variable, numeric. I don't want to show this on the certificate, so that's fine. Then number of repeats. Repeats, numeric. The third one would be my calibration standard, which is the manometer, right? So I'm going to add my calibration standard, manometer. So calibration standard. And the type here would be master because I'm going to list a master in this field. So when I select master, it will ask me the master worksheet name. So the worksheet that we created for the manometer gets linked here. So let's search for the manometer worksheet MP200V1.0. So the advantage is you can use the same worksheet associated with multiple equipment. So you may have multiple manometers with different inventory number or serial numbers. So you can have all of them listed here with just linking one worksheet, That's the advantage. Again, I don't want to show this on the certificate because my calibration workflow automatically picks up the standard that I used. So don't have to show it on the certificate. Then finally, my tolerance lookup. So tolerance lookup is a lookup that I created similar fashion as creating a calibration standards configuration, so that I can pull the tolerance values. For example, for 0 to 100 Pascal, my percentage would be 2 and my count would be 0.8. Similarly, for 100 to 500, 2 and 1.5. So I've just created a configuration sheet to get that information. So tolerance lookup. So this is again a master, but this time I'm going to choose the configuration sheet, which is the tolerance lookup with resolution. So this I already created it. If you want to go back and check on the worksheets on the demo instance, you'll be able to find that, right? So click on add. So now I have my calibration standard and tolerance lookup added. Let's save the section and save the worksheet. So it's always best to save these sheets once in a while, so that even if it's a power failure or if your laptop shuts down, you can still have your data saved. So when I click save, it says worksheet with the same name already exists. So I'm going to give my differential pressure transmitter sheet V1.0 so that I can have a unique name. So I have my differential pressure transmitter V1.0 partially done. So let's preview it. So cal points repeats. I get my calibration standard listed here, my chemo 49.00.001 ETQ, ETP 049. And if I click on this plus sign, my standards data is available here, which means that I can write the lookup. And then on my tolerance lookup, I have the tolerance TEQ 22150. If I click on this plus sign, it will get my tolerance lookup. So I created this tolerance lookup in the similar fashion as I created the standards configuration. So I created a range here, 0 Pascal to 100 Pascal. My percentage is 2, and my count is 0.8, and my resolution is 0.01. So my resolution is also, I have added my resolution as well. So resolution, I think, is mentioned somewhere here. Yeah, 0 to 100 Pascal, 100 to 500, and 500,000. So I have my resolution. When I copied my resolution from the email, I think it is missing here, but this is the resolution that I wanted. So for this range, I have the 0.01. Then 100 to 500, I have 2 and 1.5 as a count. 500 to 750 and 750 to 1000. So it's 750 to 10,000. So I have just given 750 to 1000 because we don't have that entire range in the calibration standard. So I just gave 1000 here, right? You can give 10,000 as well. So the idea is to look up this range and get the percentage and count out so that I can calculate my tolerance, right? So again, the reference type is configuration because this is just a configuration sheet, right? So because if you check the reference type in the actual calibration standard, it would be instrument because there is a certificate number, serial number, tag number, etc. But in the tolerance lookup, you will find that it's just, you don't have to fill any of this information, certificate number or serial number or anything. You just have to choose configuration, right? So now let's go ahead and build the rest of the sheet. So my parameter section is completed. I don't have anything to do on the parameter section. Again, for the cal points, I'm going to copy the variables from the cal point here and copy that on the table row expression so that my table rows get automatically populated based on that, right? Now let's add the table fields. Let's save the section. Let's add a new section so that I can add rest of my fields. So my second section is going to be called as calibration data. So calibration data. So this is where the technician is going to fill in the calibration data. So calibration data. as a variable name. And I don't think, yeah, I will have some form fields here, which is my prop serial number and inventory number, because I can have multiple sections for each prop. So I'm going to have the prop serial number and inventory number here. So prop form fields, let's click on add, sorry, prop. So text field, I want to show this on certificate because that is an important detail. And then I will have my serial number, again a text field, and I'm going to show this on the certificate, and inventory number, again I'm going to add this on the certificate. A text field to be shown on the certificate, right? So I have my prop details in the form fields, but on the table field, I'm going to have my technician's calibration data entry fields. So I'll start with a reference field so that I can fill in the reference data. Reference field is numeric, show in certificate. Then I have my unit. So it's going to be a combo. It's a pressure. So I'm going to show the unit on the certificate, but I'm only going to show this unit on the certificate because all my units are going to be same, I'm assuming. But if you have different units combinations, then always show different units on the certificate. Now my actual, but I'm going to internally store all the units so that if need be, I could bring them into the certificate, right? So actual is a numeric field, and sorry, the actual is my actual value. So I'm not going to leave it as a numeric. I'm going to make it a repeat field because I can have them repeated multiple times, and then I can have them repeated based on the number of repeats that I give here. So number of repeats is a field that I added on the parameter. So I'm substituting that on the repeat expression so that it repeats that many times. So I'm going to add my field, the field to be repeated as actual again. So it's going to be a numeric field. So the reason why I do that is I can have this actual field repeated multiple times so that I can take a mean, right? So click on add. My actual is included. Then I will add my unit again. So add my unit. So actual unit. Then I will calculate my mean. So that field is mean. So mean is again a numeric field. On the expression, I'm going to add the mean expression. So search for average. So I have a row average for taking the average of a repeat field. So my repeat field is going to be is the actual value. So I'm going to take the row average. So RC indicates the repeat column. So search for my repeat field, which is the actual, right? So put it here. So that calculates my mean. Click on add. I want to show that on the certificate, yes. So my mean, my reference is going to be shown on the certificate. My actual is going to be shown on the certificate also. Sorry, my actual is not going to be shown on the certificate. My mean is going to be shown on the certificate because actual could be a number of times. Mean is going to be shown on the certificate. And then I'll have a unit for the mean. So let's add a new unit. Mean unit. So numeric, no, combo. So pressure, but I can default my mean unit to my actual unit. So because my actual unit is going to be same as my mean unit, so I'm going to put that as an expression so that if I give PA on my actual, my mean is going to be in PA as well, right? So I can default the value, but I'm not going to show that on the certificate. That is fine. Now I will calculate my deviation. So let's click on add. Deviation, it's a numeric. Sorry, deviation. Type is numeric. Now I have to write an expression which will calculate my deviation, right? So my deviation is my mean minus my reference value, right? So search for mean. So this is my mean minus search for reference. So my mean minus my reference. But if I want to eliminate the symbols, I can take the absolute. So search for the absolute function and substitute the absolute value in here so that my negatives will get eliminated, right? Click on add. So my deviation is calculated. So the next step would be to find the tolerance, calculate the tolerance. So for calculating tolerance, I need the percentage, the value that it's going to be on the percentage, and then the count, right? So both of these are in my lookup sheet. So I have to write a lookup, right? So let's calculate the tolerance percentage. So let's add a new field, tolerance percentage, tolerance percentage, right? So tolerance percentage. And this is a numeric value, but I'm going to write an expression. So my tolerance is in the form of a range because 0 to 100 Pascal, right? So my the lookup should be able to look within the range and return the value. So for that, I need to find the lookup which works with range, right? So it's easy to find the lookups. All you need to do is go to the Metquay service desk and look for lookups in Metquay worksheets and search for range. So I have numeric range lookup without unit conversion. I have numeric range lookup with unit conversion, and I have numeric range lookup um, with unit conversion. So I'm going to use without unit conversion because all my units are in Pascal. But if I use with unit conversion, even if my units change, it could automatically do the conversion and find the right value for you. So I will go for the one without unit conversion. So when you sorry. So when you go for the documentation, it will give you an example. For example, here you have 10 and 20. So the value to be returned is 0.001. So based on the value that you give on the instrument worksheet, if the value falls between 10 and 20, it will return this value, right? And all the abbreviations, the MFC, MFU, MTC, MTU, all these are given here. So the type, numeric value to be compared, unit of the LV, MFC, which is a numeric field to be matched, MFU, unit of MFC, MTC, numeric field to be matched, etc. So it's very easy. You can look at the documentation and you'll be able to easily figure this out, right? So I'm going to search for this lookup, CFN range lookup without conversion on my function. So range, yeah, CFN range lookup without conversion. That is the function that I need. So type, LV, LU, MFC, all these fields are in here. So type is the type of parameter that we are going to look up for. So write the type in capital letters. So here it is pressure. So I'm going to write all the parameters right here and then copy paste it. So pressure. Now I need to look up my values. So what I'm going to do is my LV is my reference value, right? So I'm going to take my LV as my reference value, which is the value that I want to use as a reference for looking up. Then I will take the unit of my reference right here. So as my LU, so unit of my reference. Then the third is MFC, which is the from range. So look for my lookup sheet. So tolerance lookup. So from the tolerance lookup, I'm going to find my from range. And then I need to find the from range unit, which is right here, the from range unit. Then I have my to range. And then I have my to range unit. And finally, the value that needs to be returned. The value that needs to be returned is my resolution in percentage, right? So click on the percentage, right? So once I do that, I can copy everything, click on and cut this and paste it here, right? So if there is any mismatch on the data or the expression, it will throw an error. So let's see if it throws an error. It didn't throw an error, we're good, right? But if there is a parenthesis missing or something of that sort, it will throw an error, right? So it's easy to get the lookup right if you follow the documentation, right? So click on verify. So now I have my tolerance percentage available. I'm not going to show it on the certificate. Click on add. So the next thing would be, so let's for once, let's copy this expression, because this expression is going to be useful for us as we move forward, because we are going to write tolerances. Write lookups. So the next thing would be the tolerance count, right? So I'm going to add a new field called tolerance count for this value, right? So tolerance count, T tolerance count, again a numeric value. And again, tolerance count is going to be looked up from the same reference sheet, almost the same expression, except that we looked up percentage last time. This time we are going to look up the count, right? So all I have to do is copy paste the same lookup. Instead of percentage, I'll delete this and I'll search for my lookup worksheet, and I'm going to find my count variable. So I'm just going to replace count in here, right? So that brings me my count as well, right? So I have the tolerance and the tolerance count. Now I have to calculate my tolerance plus or minus, which is my percentage of measurement plus my count. So for that to work, it's important that my tolerance percentage and tolerance count are getting populated. So let's check if it is right, and let's get back to it, right? So save the section. Yeah, so I need to choose the layout, right? Save the section, update the sheet. Now let's go ahead and preview the worksheet again. And let's give the number of cal points. One cal point is fine. So sorry, my cal point, I haven't given my table row expression. That is fine. Let's add a row. So let's give reference as this is 0 to 100 Pascal, right? So let's give 20 pascals, right? 20 pascals. And I'm going to choose my tolerance lookup here. And my 2 and 0.8 is automatically populated. So let me add one more between 100 and 500, which is 110 Pascal, 2 and 1.5. Great. So my lookup is working fine. So exactly all my values from here is getting populated into my worksheet. So I can proceed, with confidence, right? So let's modify, go ahead and check the parameters. Yeah, so this is the table row expression which I took. So this is the parameter section. The table row expression should be actually on the calibration data. So I'm going to put that on the table row expression here to, to make that work. So we don't have to check it right now. Let's go ahead and continue. So calibration data. Yeah, now I have my tolerance percentage and tolerance count. So the next field would be my tolerance plus or minus, right? So tolerance plus slash minus, right? So tolerance. And let's give the field a numeric type. And I'm going to calculate my tolerance. So my tolerance calculation is very easy now that I have my tolerance percentage and everything available. So all I need to do is my tolerance percentage. This is the tolerance percentage multiplied by my range or my actual, my reference, which is my actual. So first I need to multiply the percentage by 100 to make it the actual percentage, then multiply it by my reference, put that in a bracket again, then add it to my count, so which is my tolerance count, right? So that will calculate my tolerance, my actual tolerance. So we can check that later because it's a simple expression. It should definitely work. If it doesn't, we can come back and correct it. That is not an issue. Let's proceed with the next step, which is the uncertainty of the standard, right? So let's add a new field, which is uncertainty of the uncertainty, and in the bracket we can give standard. So uncertainty of the standard could be shown on the certificate, right? So uncertainty, we'll show it on the certificate, choose as numeric. And now the uncertainty of the standard is again going to be a lookup, right? Because it's pulled from my calibration standard, right? So here, my calibration standard the points that have been given as 80, 250, 500, 750, and 900. So when I check my calibration standard data, I don't have exact matches for my values in the calibration standard. So um, there is values which are lesser or higher uh, than the given values. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do approximation so that I could you know get a match. So here, if you check my calibration data, so here I don't have the exact matches here for 250, 80, or 700. So I'm going to do an approximate lookup here. So on the expression, I'm going to search for approximate. So I have an CFN lookup which with an approximate match, right? So again, for finding the documentation, go for approximate numeric lookup, and you'll be able to find the documentation. So there's only three main fields here: LV, LCN, and VCN. So LV is a numeric field to be compared, LCN is a numeric field to be matched on the reference worksheet, and VCN is the value to be returned from the reference worksheet, right? So let's write our fields. So LV again is going to be my reference field, and LCN is going to be from my calibration standard. So search for the manometer worksheet, and on the manometer worksheet, VREF is my value that needs to be compared, and then the value to be returned is the incertitude, which is my uncertainty, right? So let's take that. To make it simple, I'm not applying the correction here. I'm just taking the uncertainty based on my reference value, right? So I can show it on the certificate from my uncertainty is looked up. So my uncertainty lookup is also pulled out. So once again, to recap the uncertainty, if I went really fast there, so I'm writing a CFN approximate lookup. So I have added three fields. One is the value from the reference value from my calibration instrument to be calibrated, and then I'm comparing it with the VRF on my calibration standard, and then returning the incertitude or the uncertainty from my calibration standard, right? So let's click on add. My uncertainty is available. Now the three fields that I need to add is compliance and status. Sorry, the two fields, compliance and status. So before we do that, let's see if my tolerance is calculated right and my uncertainties are coming up right? So let's save the section, update this, and preview. So I have my number of cal points, 1. Now it should pop up. Yes, it's coming up right. So I will take my reference, reference data. So my cal point, which is suggested, is 80, right? So 80, and I'm going to choose my calibration standard and my lookup here. So I'm just going to give one repeat. So I'm not going to take multiple repeats for my mean. That is fine. The unit is Pascal. So the moment I choose 80 Pascal, I have my tolerance and tolerance count created here. So 0.8, which is fine because my tolerance, yeah, 2 and 0.8 is 0 to 100. It's between 0 to 100. 80 is between 0 to 100. So 2 and 0.8 is fine. My tolerance calculation is wrong because I multiplied it by 100. So I should have divided it by 100. So I need to correct that. And then my uncertainty is 0.37, so which is 80. So it is an approximate value which is taken. So let's check my calibration standard. So I will have 100 somewhere. Yeah, I have 100 here. So if since it's 80, so it will find something less than 100. So it should have taken my uh, so the uncertainty picked up here is 0.37. So calibration standard. Let me look at my lookup sheet and see if it was 2.37. Yeah, it's 0.37, which is taken from here. So it has not taken the unit into consideration. That's why it's taken 0.37. So we should have used a lookup which which takes the unit into consideration so that it will pick the right value from the Pascal. So let's make that correction and let's make the tolerance correction as well, right? So let's edit this. So calibration data, and on the tolerance plus or minus, instead of multiply by 100, I'm going to make it divide by 100, right? That should solve my tolerance problem. Click on add. And for my uncertainty standard, I need approximate lookup with unit. So let's find an approximate lookup with unit. So lookup approximate. Let me see if I have it on my library. So unit lookup, to look up from a text type table field. So I need an approximate lookup, which with a unit. So I have range lookup, I have unit conversion, weight lookup with unit. So unfortunately, I'm not able to find an approximate lookup with unit on my library, but definitely there should be one, which I can definitely share with you at a later point in time. So let's go ahead with the approximate lookup right now. So everything else is working fine. So next would be the compliance. So let's add compliance. So compliance. So for compliance, I need to write an expression, which is my deviation plus uncertainty. So I'll write my deviation plus uncertainty. So I'll calculate my deviation plus uncertainty with that. Click on add. And finally, I need my status. So status would be an if condition, which is a pass or fail. So type numeric. Sorry, it's going to be a text field. Expression, which is if my compliance, which is my deviation, plus my uncertainty is greater than my tolerance. It's a fail. Otherwise, it's a pass, right? It's simple if condition. Click on verify, click on add. I need to show that on the certificate. Click on add and hit the save section and update it, right? So my pressure transmitter worksheet is almost getting ready. So I'll give my number of cal points. I'll give 2 repeats to check my mean. I will select my standard and my tolerance lookup. So reference is 80, unit is Pascal. So actual, let's say 80.01, actual 2 is 80.02. Now I have my mean, deviation, tolerance count, and uncertainty, and compliance is 0.385. My tolerance is 2.4, so it's a pass. So if I make it 80 point or 82 maybe, 1.375, my tolerance is 2.4, so let's make it 83. 83 here too, which will make it a fail, right? My tolerance is 2.4, my compliance is 3.37, it's a fail, right? One correction I need to make is my unit here is, it's not a drop down, so I need to make it a drop down, which is a mistake I made, so I'll correct that. But before that, let's check the certificate template, how it comes on the certificate. So we'll do a quick preview. So let me fill in the prop details as well, just to see how it comes up, right? So I have my prob, I have my serial number, and I have my inventory number. So click preview. Okay, so this looks good. I have my reference, my unit, my mean, my uncertainty, and my status. And my prop details are here. So it overall looks good from my perspective, but if you need to make any changes in template, all you need to do is come to the sheet and make those modifications, right? So before we finalize this configuration, let's go to my calibration data and correct that unit field. So one of my unit is numeric. So yeah, let's make my unit a combo and pressure, right? That solves the problem. And now I have my worksheet all set to go. So number of cal points, my units are all in drop downs. Very good, right? So now we have completed the worksheet. Now finally, we need to make a procedure before we can go ahead and um, do the calibration, right? So the worksheet is created. Now let's create a procedure. So on the procedure, let's click on add. Let's give a procedure number. So this is an equipment, which is my, the equipment name is a differential pressure transmitter, right? So differential. So differential pressure transmitter, I don't think I have a category for differential pressure transmitter. No. So let's create a new category first before we go ahead and add a procedure. So let's add differential pressure transmitter. I don't need a description for this. Click on save. Let's go back to procedures. Click on add differential pressure transmitter. As my procedure number and title, I can use the same thing. Paper procedure name also is fine. Choose the category as differential pressure transmitter. Prepared by Sandeep Nair. Approved by Max. So we have an approval workflow. So once you create a procedure, somebody else needs to approve it. We have that procedure approval workflow, but it's not available on the demo instance yet. So amendment number 0, and it's not amended yet. Procedure type is single. Now on the worksheet, I'm going to find my differential pressure transmitter V1.0, which I created, right? So this worksheet right here gets populated as a blank worksheet, as you can see. Now I can preset some data so that my technician would know what to do. I can either give them a blank worksheet or I can pre-fill some data. So here, since we have the specifications in place, I need 5 points. And my technician needs to do minimum 3 repeats. That's what I'm saying. And my calibration standard. So there is only one type of the standard available right now. So I'm going to default it. But I can let my technician choose the right one when he does, or he or she does the calibration. Tolerance lookup, again, I can default it because this is a tolerance lookup for my chemo. Then probe serial number and inventory number, I can leave it blank for my technician to fill in because probe details could change. So there's going to be 5 points. So 80, 250, 500, 750, and 900. And my units, Pascal, right. Yeah. So my actual 1, 2, 3 is left for my technician to fill in. I can even put the units in here so that the technician would know that it is in Pascal. And mean is to be calculated based on the actual. Deviation is to be calculated. Uncertainty is already populated based on my standard. Compliance and statuses needs to be calculated, right? So let's, before we hit save, we can map certificate approvers. So certificate approvers are the people who would have the authority to approve a certificate created using this procedure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everyone in my database so that anybody can approve it. Click on save. Now, if I search for my differential pressure transmitter procedure, it is all set to go. I have my data pre-filled. I have my certificate approvers mapped, everything in place. Now, since the procedure is ready, I'm going to map it against my employees so that they can use it for the calibration process. So go to the employee screen. So I'm going to search for Sandeep here. So I'm going to map these two procedures. Micrometer, something which I created, maybe somebody else created. So differential pressure transmitter is the one which I created. So I'm going to just map the differential pressure transmitter and update it. Again, Sandeep. Also, I'm going to find Philip and I'm going to map the differential pressure transmitter against Philip. So there are a bunch of other procedures that were created in Metquay before. So I'm going to map all of them under Philip so that it's easy for Philip to try it, right? Now let's update. So only if I map employees against the procedure, when I do the calibration, their name get listed on the dropdown, right? Now let's get back, let's head back to home. So I have everything in place for my calibration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to emulate an actual work. So all that we did until this point is the configuration. So you'll not be doing this on a regular basis. All you'll be doing is setting this up for one time, and then you will use it forever, right? So let's go ahead and create a work and add a new device to be calibrated and get the work done, right? So let's go to the work screen. So where is work? So let's go to create work and choose a customer. So the customer that we created is Sourman, the Sourman S3. And then I'm going to uncheck this because this is a fully, full-fledged system with the ERP application as well. So in most of the cases, when the ERPs are integrated, this box is not going to be there. So I'm going to uncheck this. Please ignore it if you're not uh, evaluating the ERP features of Metquay. So I'm going to search for basic calibration service. Yeah, I'm going to select, yeah, anything would do. So I'm just selecting multimeter calibrate. It doesn't make sense, but it's not required here when you're using an integrated ERP system, right? So let's create an instrument. So let's add the instrument for Solman. So Solman does not have any equipment in the database, so it is blank here. So let's click on create instrument and click on add. So so the instrument type, is a pressure transmitter, differential pressure transmitter. So differential pressure transmitter. So I don't have an equipment type available for the differential pressure transmitter. So let's add a new type. So let's search for differential pressure transmitter, and the make is chemo, and the brand or model is CP212-BO. Range, I'm going to give 0 to 10,000 Pascal. It's not mandatory. I can just give it like this and type as digital, right? So the instrument name gets automatically populated with all these details appended together. So my differential pressure transmitter is created, and serial number, I'll use this as my serial number. Inventory number, I'll copy the inventory number to the tag number field, and calibration frequency, I'll set it as 1 year, and instrument status is in the receive status. Sorry, and I'll hit save. Now my differential pressure transmitter instrument is added to the database. So for Solarman, this instrument is part of the inventory. So anytime when you calibrated this equipment, all you need to do is search for the serial number or tag number, and you'll be able to find that equipment. So let's select this and add to work. So I'm not going to fill any of this information because these are all informations which are good to have. So I'll just click configure, and then I'm going to select the procedure. So my differential pressure transmitter procedure is already available, and it's going to be assigned to Sandeep Nair. So I have Sandeep Nair and Philip on the list because I mapped the procedure to both these employees. So I'm going to choose assign it to Sandeep Nair for the time being, right? So click on create work. So now under my work screen, under the work screen, I have the Sauerman differential pressure transmitter already created in the not started state. It's in not started state. It is assigned to Sandeep Nair, right? So let's start the work. So I have to log in as Sandeep Nair to start the work. So right now I'm logged in as admin. So if I hit start work, it would say please log in as a technician. So let me sign out and log in as Sandeep Nair. And now on the work screen, let's go to Sauerman and start work. So when I start the work, I have all the details that is given to me filled in right here. So all I have to do is under the calibrations, click on add. So the as found calibration is selected by default. Click on the procedure and I will get the procedure which I already created with all the cal points and the details, right? So let's go ahead and fill in the information. So calibration data is the field that I'm going to fill in. It's the section that I'm going to fill in. So my prob details, I'm going to fill in my prob details first. Prob, serial number. So I understand that there could be multiple probes that the technician would be calibrating. So there is a option in the worksheet to repeat the sections n number of times, just like you repeat the columns or the rows. So I have not done that here because to make it simple, but there is definitely an option called a repeat section, which will repeat based on the number of the number of props, right? So you can add a field called number of props here and make this a repeat section and make this repeat. So that's for another session. Right now, let's keep it simple, just one prop, right? So actual, so I'm giving us 80, 80.1, 80.2, 250, 249.01, 04, 249.01, 500, 500, 500, 750, 765, 777, 900, 901, 902, right? So I have my fields pre-populated here and I have my pass or fail status also here. So all the things are here. So for this one is the one with the most deviation. So 764, but I have a higher tolerance here. So that's why it's still a pass, right? So let's hit save work. So now I have my as found details saved. I can go ahead and click on add again, and it will automatically show my as left. So I can mark this to be shown on the certificate because I can do multiple as lefts. I can decide the one needs to be shown on the certificate. So you have to mark the one that needs to be shown on the certificate. Click on the worksheet again. So all your as found data gets copied over to the as left data. So everything is in here. So if you do the adjustment, you can make those changes. So for example, here it's 750, instead of 765, I'll make it 749, and actual, I'll make it 749 again, right? So again, the values here, it's I have not rounded the values based on the resolution. I forgot to do that, but I can definitely do the rounding based on the resolution as well, right? So that my values doesn't look, um, you know, overflown, right? So let's save the work again. And now I have the as found and the as left. I can mark it for a certificate. So if there is any mistake, or if the equipment requires a service, I can mark it for a service report, or I can mark it for a certificate. So let's mark it for a certificate, and click configure certificate, and all my details get populated here with my customer information, receive date, calibrated date, and everything. My standards are getting listed here. Traceability is blank because I didn't give the traceability. So my statement, everything. Click on preview, and my certificate of calibration is generated. My equipment name, technician name, approved by is blank because it is not approved yet. My calibration data, my as found, and my as left, right? So this looks ugly, I know, but we didn't do the resolution adjustment. That's why it's looking bad. We can definitely do the resolution adjustment, right? So now let's save it and send for approval. So anytime during this process, if I want to go back and make the modifications like this, I can do that. I can just close it and go back and edit the work. But what I'm going to show you is editing after approval, so that we could it's a little more common scenario, right? So send for approval, and on the work screen, the job is marked for is marked for certificate. The report is generated, and the type of the report is certificate. So as an approver, I can log in as another user as an approver, or I can do it myself if I have the privilege, right? But there's a setting in Metquay which will prevent the same person from approving the calibration certificate done by that person. If that setting is turned on, it will not allow me to do the approval, even if I'm qualified to do that. So as an approver, I can view the report, make sure everything is good. If everything is good, I can click on approve, right? Otherwise, I can send it for rechecking. So it'll go back to the technician. This time it is me, or it will go back to the whoever it did, and they can do the correction and submit it back. So all these changes, let's assume that it came back once the approval was done, right? So let's approve the certificate. Yes. Right? The certificate is approved. Now click on finish. Click on the finish checkbox and find the finished job. Since the certificate is approved, it is finished. View the report again. It has the technician name and approved by. It's the same person, but there's a check which will prevent the same person from doing it. Right? Now, Now, the last step of the presentation is to make the modifications on the certificate so that we can generate the certificate again, right? So the requirement is to add an additional point for 600 Pascal and then change the customer address, right? And then put this statement in the certificate. So let's do this. So all you need to do is, this is in the finished status. So anybody who has the privilege to revise the certificate can click on edit work and choose the certificate type. So I'm going to say this is going to be a superseding certificate, because uh, I'm going to discard my old certificate. I'm going to issue a new certificate which supersedes the old certificate, right? So let's click on save work. So it will ask, the work will be saved as a revision for the existing one. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, right? So remarks, I need to add an additional cal point and change the details in the certificate, right? Hit save, and on my work screen, I can see that the work is back to not started status. And if you scroll to the right, you will see that revision number is 1 and a new report number is associated with it. It's the same work number, but it has a new revision number, right? So let's go back and start the work. Because it is assigned to me, I can just go ahead and start the work. Now I have my old as found in the as left data. So I'm going to add the additional cal point on my as found data, and then I'm going to propagate it back. So I'm going to discard my as left data. Yes. And I'm going to edit my as found data. And my additional cal point is 600, right? So I need to remove these cal points. So let's make it 3, and I'm adding 6 cal points, right? So 6, right? So 500, I'm going to add 600, then 750, and then 900. PA, Pascal, Pascal, 600, 601, 602, 750, 750, 750, Pascal, and finally 900. Right. So now let's hit save work, add the yeah. So we have my as found here. So let's see if my as found is saved. Yeah, my 600 is added. Let's add my as left again. So my as left is also populated here with my as found. So all I need to do is, if I want to make any corrections, let's make those corrections. Yep. Let's save again. Let's save. So it says record modified by another user. So let me click cancel and cancel. Close this. Go to my works again. So this is in the starter state. So I have my as found details. So my as found details, I lost my changes because maybe somebody else is logged in with my same user account, because this is the trial account. So my team and somebody else may be using it. So let's try again. Let's edit this. So I need to add an additional 600. So let's make it 3 and then 6 so that I can get my 600, 750, and 900. Seven 900, 600, 600. Right, so let me save my work. So my as found is saved. Let's add my as left again. This time I need to show this on the certificate. So my as found data gets copied into the as left. So if I need to make any change, I can make that change. Otherwise, I can just hit save again. So my as found and my as left are done. So now let's again mark for certificate and configure certificate. So this time when I configure the certificate, I'm going to change the customer address to this. So Z.I. Bernard Mulnet. Okay, so the only change I think I see here is the, okay. Anyways, I can just copy and paste it here. I don't have to do anything else. Let's change it to just remove France and everything. Let's add this. So I don't have the country here right now, so I just changed it. Now addition of a comment. So I'm going to add a new comment. So under the remarks, I can give a comment, or I can add a new statement right here. So I can do it both ways. So I will just add it under the statements, right? And then finally, you need to put this on the certificate, right? Yeah. So this, I think it is if it's a traceability statement, I could put it here. So I'm assuming it's a traceability statement. So I'm going to replace the traceability statement with this. And now let's preview the certificate again. So I have my superseding certificate number here, the old certificate number here. I have my new traceability statement. I have the new additional statement that I added. I have the address change also in here, right? So everything looks good. Let's hit save and send for approval again so that it can be approved, right? So on the work screen, it would be available as a started work with certificate generated again, right here. So as an approver, you can view the report. If everything looks good, the new address, the new statement, everything looks good, you can hit approve. Yes. Now the work is approved. And now if you go to the finished works and search for Sawman, so there is WN22-149 twice, but as you can see, there is revision 1 and revision 0. So if you check revision 0, you will see the old details, the old traceability statement and everything with this certificate number. And if you view the revision 1, which is right here, if you view the report, you will see the new address, the superseding certificate number, the new traceability statement, and the new statement error and uncertainty. So everything looks good. We have the certificate details and everything ready. So I think we have covered almost everything that was mentioned on the requirement, right? So sorry for the hiccups that happen in between. So sometimes when the demo instances are run, we may have some hiccups here and there. One of them is multiple users using the same account. So if they use the same account, there will be conflicts. So it's always advised not to use the same account for multiple users um, in the live scenario, right? So I hope I was able to explain everything to you in a very clear and concise manner. But if there is any doubt, any questions that you have, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'll be happy to set up a meeting with you, explain the questions or explain the features to you. Always be open to ask your questions. Also, I would like to uh, show you our knowledge base. So we have a very extensive knowledge base where you can find the lookup, details of the lookups, unit conversions, the workflows, everything in Metquay. So once you become a customer, you will have complete access to the the knowledge base, which will let your employees quick check the formats, quick check the best practices and everything. Also, we will be available for you, available to help you at any point in time. We have teams across the globe. We have teams in India. We have teams in the US. So if there is any support requirement, our support team will be able to help you out then and there. Thank you so much, and you have a great day ahead.